What if I told you that while medieval Europeans were living in wooden huts and throwing their waste in the streets, African cities had running water, multi-story stone buildings, and wealth that would make modern billionaires jealous? When most people think of ancient, wealthy cities, they picture Rome, Athens, or maybe Constantinople. But Africa was home to urban centers that were richer, more sophisticated, and more influential than anything Europe could offer for most of human history. These weren't just big villages. They were cosmopolitan metropolises with international trade networks, advanced architecture, and populations that dwarfed European cities. From Great Zimbabwe's gold trading empire to Carthage's Mediterranean dominance, from Meroe's iron industry to Kilwa's Indian Ocean commerce, African cities were the economic powerhouses of the ancient world. Let's count down 5 African cities that were so wealthy and advanced, they make your favorite historical kingdom look like a rural backwater. Imagine a city where every building is a work of art, where scholars from 3 continents come to study, and where annual flooding brings prosperity instead of disaster. Djenné, located in modern-day Mali, was the ultimate riverside trading city that turned seasonal flooding into economic advantage. Founded around 250 BCE, Djenné controlled trade between the Sahara and West African forests. The wealth came from Djenné's position as middleman in the trans-Saharan gold-salt trade. Gold from southern mines was traded for Saharan salt, with the city taking a cut of every transaction. Local artisans transformed raw materials into finished goods that sold for premium prices across Africa. The population peaked at around 20,000 people, bigger than medieval London's 18,000 residents. Djenné was larger than most European capitals and infinitely more prosperous. The architecture was revolutionary. Djenné's builders perfected mud brick construction, creating buildings so durable that UNESCO now protects them as World Heritage Sites. The Great Mosque became the architectural model for mosques across West Africa. What really set Djenné apart was its intellectual culture. The city attracted scholars from across the Islamic world. Djenné's libraries contained thousands of manuscripts covering astronomy, poetry, and legal commentary. While European monasteries hoarded knowledge, Djenné shared it freely. Picture a coastal city where Chinese porcelain sits next to Persian carpets, where ships from India dock beside vessels from Arabia, and where gold coins are so common they're used for everyday purchases. Kilwa Kisiwani, located off the coast of modern-day Tanzania, was the Manhattan of the Indian Ocean, a cosmopolitan trading center that connected Africa to Asia centuries before Europeans knew these trade routes existed. Founded in the 9th century, Kilwa became the dominant port for East African trade by controlling gold coming from Great Zimbabwe's interior mines. But Kilwa's genius was creating a commercial ecosystem that made everyone rich. The population reached about 20,000, but numbers don't capture Kilwa's diversity. The city was home to Swahili merchants, Arab traders, Persian craftsmen, Indian financiers, and African farmers, a melting pot that worked because commerce created shared interests. The wealth was staggering by any historical standard. Kilwa minted its own gold and silver coins, the first currency south of the Sahara. Archaeological excavations have found Chinese porcelain, Persian pottery, and Indian beads in quantities that suggest regular, large-scale trade with Asia. The architecture reflected this prosperity. Kilwa's stone buildings included multi-story houses with indoor plumbing, elaborate mosques, and a royal palace complex covering several acres. The Great Mosque could accommodate over 1,000 worshippers. The trade networks were truly global for their time. Kilwa merchants maintained permanent representatives in Indian ports, Chinese traders had warehouses in Kilwa, and Persian Gulf merchants treated Kilwa as a regular stop on established routes. Imagine a city where the sound of hammers never stops, where iron forges burn day and night, and where technological innovation drives an economy that supplies weapons and tools to half a continent. Meroe, located in modern-day Sudan, was the Pittsburgh of the ancient world, an industrial center that used advanced technology to create wealth and power that lasted for over 800 years. Founded around 800 BCE as the capital of the Kingdom of Kush, Meroe became the largest iron-producing center in the ancient world. The city's location along the Nile provided transportation, while nearby iron ore deposits and forests provided raw materials and fuel. The population reached an estimated 25,000 people, making it one of Africa's largest cities. Meroe was a specialized economy where entire neighborhoods were dedicated to different aspects of iron production. Archaeologists have found evidence of blast furnaces, specialized workshops, and residential areas for skilled metal workers. The wealth came from Meroe's monopoly on high-quality iron production. While other regions struggled with basic ironworking, Meroe's smiths were producing steel superior to anything available in Europe or Asia. Meroitic weapons and tools were traded as far as the Mediterranean and Indian Ocean. The technology was centuries ahead of its time. Meroe's blast furnaces used sophisticated air circulation systems that achieved temperatures high enough to produce steel. The city's metalworkers developed techniques for creating different grades of iron for specific purposes. The political power flowing from this industrial base was enormous. Meroe's rulers could equip armies with superior weapons while generating wealth through iron exports. The kingdom successfully resisted Roman expansion for centuries. Picture a city built entirely of stone without using mortar, where gold is so common it's used for everyday jewelry, and where trade networks stretch from the Indian Ocean to the heart of Africa. Great Zimbabwe, located in modern-day Zimbabwe, was the capital of a trading empire that controlled the flow of gold and ivory from Africa's interior to the coast for over 300 years. Built between the 11th and 15th centuries, Great Zimbabwe was the largest ancient structure south of the Sahara Desert. The city's stone walls, built without mortar using dry stone construction, have stood for over 800 years and continue to amaze engineers today. The population peaked at around 18,000 people, but Great Zimbabwe's influence extended far beyond its walls. The city controlled a territory roughly the size of modern France, with tributary settlements providing gold, ivory, and other resources processed and traded through the capital. The wealth was legendary even by ancient standards. Portuguese traders who reached the coast in the 16th century found so much gold coming from the interior that they assumed biblical King Solomon's mines must exist somewhere inland. Archaeological excavations have found gold jewelry, Chinese porcelain, Persian glass, and Indian beads, proving regular large-scale trade with Asia. The architecture was revolutionary. Great Zimbabwe's builders created the largest ancient stone structures in sub-Saharan Africa using techniques that modern engineers still study. The Great Enclosure, with walls 36 feet high and 16 feet thick, was built without bonding agent yet has remained stable for centuries. The economic model was brilliantly designed. Great Zimbabwe controlled trade routes between gold-producing regions and coastal ports where international traders waited. The city didn't just tax trade. It added value by processing raw materials into finished goods, commanding premium prices. Imagine a city that challenged Rome for control of the Mediterranean, where harbor engineering was so advanced that it remained unsurpassed for centuries, and where commercial networks spanned 3 continents. Carthage, located in modern-day Tunisia, wasn't just wealthy, it was the richest city in the world for several centuries and came closer than any other power to preventing Roman domination of the Mediterranean. Founded in 814 BCE, Carthage quickly became the most powerful city in the Western Mediterranean through superior naval technology, commercial innovation, and strategic brilliance that made Rome look like amateurs for most of their early history. The population reached approximately 400,000 people at its height, making it larger than Rome and possibly the largest city in the world during the 3rd century BCE. This was a cosmopolitan metropolis where Phoenicians, Africans, Greeks, and Romans lived and worked together in the world's most advanced economy. The wealth was almost incomprehensible by ancient standards. Carthage controlled trade routes connecting Spain's silver mines to Egypt's grain fields, Britain's tin deposits to Arabia's spice markets. The city's merchants operated permanent trading posts from Gibraltar to the Black Sea. The harbor engineering was centuries ahead of its time. Carthage's artificial harbors could accommodate over 200 warships and hundreds of merchant vessels simultaneously. The harbor design included separate military and commercial sections, advanced ship repair facilities, and warehouses storing goods from multiple continents. The naval technology was unmatched in the ancient world. Carthaginian ships were faster, more maneuverable, and better equipped than anything Rome could build. Carthaginian admirals perfected naval tactics that wouldn't be improved upon until the age of sail. The economic model was pure capitalism, before capitalism had a name. Carthaginian merchants operated as private entrepreneurs, formed joint stock companies, and used sophisticated banking systems that allowed international commerce on a scale not seen again until the Renaissance. These 5 cities proved that Africa wasn't just participating in ancient global economy, it was leading it. While European cities were struggling with basic urban problems, African cities had solved challenges of sanitation, architecture, international commerce, and industrial production. If you enjoyed discovering these ancient African cities that were richer and more advanced than most European kingdoms, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more incredible stories of African civilizations that were shaping the world while Europe was still figuring out basic civilization.